You think you're just watching a video, but this is a divine appointment. What if I told you that the life you're living right now is only a shadow of the life you were meant to live? What if I told you that the decisions you make in the next few years will determine whether you end up free and fulfilled or trapped and regretful? And what if I told you that the greatest danger you face isn't failure? It's wasting time, believing lies, and letting fear quietly steal your future? Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal truths that most people never confront. Truths that could transform not just your finances, not just your opportunities, but the legacy you leave behind. Let me help you. These words are more than kindness. They are an invitation. Life can be complicated, noisy, and uncertain. And in those moments, it's easy to lose perspective. You find yourself overwhelmed with decisions, financial choices, career directions, relationships, or even the quiet question of purpose. Each of these choices has the power to shape your future, but without clarity, you drift. You hesitate. You wait for someday, while time ticks away. Let me help you see something clearly. The enemy of your destiny is not always disaster. It is delay, not the storm, but the hesitation. You and I know people who had dreams in their hearts, plans in their notebooks, but years slipped by and now they are left with regrets instead of results. What held them back? Most often, it was fear. Fear is not just an emotion, it is a master that demands loyalty. It whispers lies into your spirit. You're not ready. You're not worthy. You'll fail. Others will laugh. And when you listen, fear wins. Think about your own life. How many opportunities have you passed up because you were afraid of the unknown? How many times have you chosen the comfort of the familiar over the risk of growth? It feels safe in the moment, but safety is deceptive. Safety without faith leads to stagnation. Now, here's the truth. Fear does not leave you alone. It does not disappear when you ignore it. It grows stronger. It creeps into your finances, making you too afraid to invest, too afraid to build, too afraid to start. It creeps into your relationships, keeping you silent when you should speak, passive when you should lead. It even creeps into your faith, making you question whether God is actually for you. Fear steals more lives than failure ever could. But here's the secret: fear doesn't want you to know. It only has power when you obey it. The moment you act in spite of fear, you break its chains. God said again and again, "Do not fear, for I am with you." If the Creator of the universe is standing with you, then why give fear the authority to hold you hostage? The next time fear whispers, answer it with action. This brings us to another trap: the illusion of time. People say, "I'll do it tomorrow," but tomorrow is not guaranteed. Every day you delay is a day you cannot get back. You can earn back money. You can rebuild reputation, but you cannot recover wasted time. And yet, time is the thing people waste most carelessly. They scroll endlessly, binge watch without thought, and put off the very steps that could transform their future. Let me help you understand time differently. Time is not just a resource. It is life itself. Treat it as currency, and you will live differently. Imagine if I handed you $86,400 every day, but told you that anything you don't spend by midnight disappears forever. You'd find a way to use every cent, wouldn't you? Yet every day, you are given 86,400 seconds. How many of them do you waste? The wealthy understand this principle. They protect their hours. They plan their days with intention. They say no to distractions because they understand that saying yes to waste is saying no to destiny. The painful truth is that most people will look back and realize they traded precious time for empty entertainment, for gossip, for meaningless scrolling. They thought they had more time. They thought tomorrow was promised. But tomorrow is a myth. The only moment you ever have is now. Now, if fear and wasted time are two of the enemies of your calling, the third enemy is more subtle. It's the lies you tell yourself. These lies sound reasonable, even protective. I'm not ready yet. I don't have the money. I'll wait until I feel more confident. These are not truths. They are prisons. They keep you chained to the ground while your spirit longs to fly. Think about this. No one is ever truly ready. Confidence does not appear before action. It is built through action. Money does not arrive before you start. It comes as a result of starting. Waiting for perfect conditions is the same as waiting for nothing at all. Perfect conditions do not exist. The enemy's favorite weapon is not external attack. It is internal deception. If you believe the lie that you are not enough, you will never even try. If you believe the lie that you must wait for tomorrow, you will waste every today. If you believe the lie that you cannot succeed, you will never discover that you could. But when you expose those lies and choose to act anyway, you become unstoppable. Momentum is born the moment you act in truth. Let me ask you, what lies have you been living under? Maybe you've been told you're not smart enough, not rich enough, not talented enough. Or maybe you've been telling yourself those things without anyone else needing to say them. These lies have chained you. But here is the reality. Chains only hold power if you refuse to move. Once you step, once you push, the chains break. And when they do, you'll encounter something deeper. The true meaning of wealth. Most people think wealth is money. They think it's houses, cars, vacations, the display of success. But let me help you redefine wealth. Wealth is freedom. Freedom to choose. Freedom to serve. Freedom to live fully aligned with God's purpose. Money is a tool, not the destination. If you chase money without wisdom, you may gain riches, but lose yourself. How many stories have we heard of people who had everything the world envied, but lived miserable, broken lives? Wealth without wisdom is poison. Real wealth is when your money serves your mission, not when your mission is just to serve your money. Real wealth allows you to provide for your family, bless others, fund dreams, and live without the crushing weight of debt. And real wealth is not built by accident. It is built by aligning your decisions with eternal principles, sowing generosity, practicing discipline, rejecting greed, and honoring God in your stewardship. What good is it to gain the world but lose your soul? A luxury lifestyle without peace is still poverty. But when your heart is right, when your finances are guided by wisdom, and when your decisions honor God, you experience abundance that cannot be shaken. Now, here's where it gets serious. Wealth without alignment will eventually destroy you. You can have the money, the house, the influence, but if your habits are out of alignment with your values, it's only a matter of time before it all collapses. Think of alignment like a car. No matter how powerful the engine, no matter how expensive the body, if the wheels are not aligned, the car will drift, it will fight itself, and eventually it will crash. The same is true of your life. If your daily habits are not aligned with your values, you will feel resistance. If your financial choices are not aligned with wisdom, you will feel instability. If your relationships are not aligned with God's message, you will feel emptiness. Alignment means your words, your actions, and your beliefs walk in the same direction. Too many people say they want freedom, but their habits scream slavery. They say they want wealth, but they spend recklessly. They say they want wisdom, but they surround themselves with foolish voices. They say they want peace, but they feed on constant chaos. And then they wonder why their lives feel like they are falling apart. Let me help you see this clearly. Alignment is not perfection. It's not about getting everything right all the time. Alignment is about consistency. A car doesn't stay aligned forever. It requires checkups, adjustments, and intentional care. Your life requires the same. Every season, you must pause and ask, am I aligned? Am I walking in the direction God has called me to? Or have I drifted? And here is where the urgency enters. Misalignment doesn't destroy overnight. It destroys over time. A tiny drift today leads to a massive crash tomorrow. That's why you cannot ignore small compromises, small excuses, small lies. What seems harmless today may be the seed of tomorrow's collapse. This is why so many people wake up in midlife and feel lost. They look at their finances, their relationships, their faith, and realize they are far from where they thought they'd be. How did it happen? Drifting. Tiny misalignments, tolerated for years, until suddenly the distance became too great. But here's the hope. No matter how far you've drifted, you can realign. You can adjust. You can turn the wheel back. You can begin today. And when you do, you will experience the power of momentum. Alignment brings acceleration. When your habits, values, and faith all point in the same direction, life begins to flow instead of fight you. Opportunities appear. Ideas connect. Resources multiply. People notice. It feels almost supernatural, and that's because it is. But alignment requires something that most people run from: decision. Decision is the single most powerful act a human being can take. Every breakthrough begins with a decision. Every transformation begins with a decision. Every legacy begins with a decision. Yet, most people live their lives in indecision, drifting from one possibility to another, never fully committing, never fully choosing. And indecision is still a decision, usually a decision to waste. The truth is, your life right now is the sum of your past decisions. Where you live, how you earn, who you're with, how you feel, all of it flows from decisions you made or failed to make. And your future will be the sum of the decisions you make today. That's why every moment matters. You are building tomorrow with the choices of today. But decisions are scary, aren't they? Because they carry weight. To choose one thing is to reject another. To commit is to close off options. That's why many people stay stuck. They prefer the illusion of possibility over the clarity of commitment. They tell themselves they are keeping their options open, but what they are really doing is living with none of them fully. Let me help you by reframing this. Indecision is not safety, it's theft. It steals your future. It drains your energy. It robs your peace. The most powerful lives are those built on decisive action. Not reckless action, but wise, aligned, faith-filled action. Consider this. Every wealthy person you admire made decisions when it was uncomfortable. They invested when others hesitated. They acted when others doubted. They chose to sacrifice comfort for growth. And because of those decisions, they now enjoy freedom others only dream of. Meanwhile, those who hesitated, those who played safe, are still waiting for their turn. So, what about you? What decisions have you been avoiding? What steps have you been delaying? If you continue to wait, years will vanish, and regret will be the only thing you accumulate. But if you decide today, if you choose with courage, your entire life can shift. And here's the sobering reality. You cannot escape decision. Even refusing to decide is still a decision, with consequences. So you might as well decide with intention, with wisdom, with faith. But how do you decide wisely? How do you ensure that your choices lead to freedom instead of destruction? That is where values come in. Your values are the compass of your life. Without them, you wander. With them, you navigate. Too many people claim to have values, but live in contradiction to them. They say they value family, but they sacrifice all their time for meaningless work. They say they value integrity, but they compromise when money is on the line. They say they value faith, but they silence their conscience when it becomes inconvenient. Values must not just be words on a wall or ideas in your head. They must be lived. They must be visible in your calendar, your budget, your relationships. If someone followed you for a week, they should be able to name your values without you saying a word. Because values are not declared, they are demonstrated. And here's the warning. When your decisions contradict your values, you create chaos. It may feel small at first, a little lie, a little compromise, a little drift, but soon it eats away at your peace. You begin to feel torn, anxious, exhausted. Why? Because your life is at war with itself. The wealthiest and wisest people in history were not those who only accumulated money. They were those who lived with unshakable values. They knew who they were. They knew what they stood for, and their decisions were guided by that clarity. This is why their wealth endured. This is why their influence spread. Because wealth without values crumbles, but wealth built on values multiplies across generations. Let me help you with this simple truth. If you want wealth that lasts, if you want freedom that endures, if you want peace that cannot be shaken, anchor your life in values that align with God's message. Discipline, integrity, generosity, faith, stewardship. These are the foundations of true abundance. And this brings us to the great challenge: discipline. Discipline is the bridge between values and reality. You can know what matters. You can even decide what matters. But without discipline, nothing changes. Discipline is the act of aligning daily behavior with ultimate purpose. And most people fail here, not because they don't know what to do, but because they won't do it consistently. Think of discipline as the invisible wealth builder. Small, daily choices compounded over time create massive results. Choosing to save instead of spend. Choosing to pray instead of panic. Choosing to read instead of scroll. Choosing to act instead of delay. Discipline is rarely glamorous, but it is always powerful. The tragedy is that people envy results without respecting discipline. They see the success, the wealth, the peace, but they don't see the quiet daily sacrifices that built them. They want the harvest without planting the seed. They want the wealth without the work. And because of this, they never experience the fullness of what's possible. But here's the good news. Discipline is available to everyone. It's not reserved for the wealthy, the talented, the privileged. It is a choice you can make today. And once you do, the compound effect begins working for you instead of against you. Discipline, though often misunderstood, is not punishment. It is protection. It protects your future from the consequences of laziness. It protects your finances from the poison of recklessness. It protects your mind from the chaos of distraction. And yet, many people resist discipline because it feels restrictive. They think discipline is about saying no to everything they want. But the truth is, discipline is about saying yes to what you want most. Think about the athlete who trains daily. People see the early mornings, the sweat, the sacrifice, and they call it restrictive. But for the athlete, that discipline is freedom. It is the freedom to compete, to win, to excel. Discipline is not chains. It is wings. It is what allows you to rise above mediocrity. The same is true with money. Saving, investing, resisting the urge to spend recklessly, these may feel restrictive in the moment, but they create the freedom to live without debt, to give generously, to choose your future instead of being enslaved by it. The same is true with faith. Prayer, fasting, scripture, these may feel demanding, but they create the freedom of peace, clarity, and strength. Let me help you see the irony. Those who reject discipline becomes slaves to their impulses. They think they are free because they say yes to everything. But in reality, they are prisoners to every desire, every distraction, every temptation. They are pulled in 1,000 directions and never move forward. True freedom comes not from saying yes to everything, but from having the power to say no to what doesn't serve your purpose. Here's another truth most ignore. Success is not built in dramatic leaps. It is built in daily disciplines. The decision to wake up early, the choice to make that phone call, the habit of reading instead of wasting time, the practice of saving instead of spending. Each choice is small, almost invisible, but compounded over months and years, they create results that look miraculous to outsiders. What others call luck is often just discipline repeated consistently. Now, there is an enemy of discipline that lurks in plain sight: distraction. Distraction has become one of the greatest thieves of this generation. With every notification, every post, every endless scroll, our attention is being bought and sold. And the more distracted you are, the less disciplined you become. Ask yourself honestly, how many hours have you wasted this week scrolling through meaningless content? How many times have you reached for your phone instead of reaching for your purpose? This is not harmless. Distraction is a form of delay, and delay is the enemy of destiny. But here's where you can take back power. Your attention is yours to control. The same phone that distracts you can educate you. The same internet that wastes your time can multiply your income. The same tools that enslave others can empower you if you choose wisely. The wealthy and wise do not consume blindly. They curate their input. They choose carefully what voices they allow into their minds. They feed on wisdom, not noise. And because of this, they grow while others stagnate. So, let me help you with this principle. Your focus determines your future. Whatever you consistently focus on, you will move toward. If you focus on fear, you will move toward fear. If you focus on opportunity, you will see doors where others see walls. If you focus on discipline, you will experience freedom. Focus is the steering wheel of life. And yet, many live without focus. They scatter their energy across too many things, never giving enough to anything. They start projects they never finish. They chase ideas they never commit to. They live busy, but not productive. And in the end, they wonder why nothing changes. The cure for this is intentional focus, choosing one direction and committing fully. This does not mean you cannot adapt or evolve, but it means you refuse to live scattered. You choose a mission. You choose values. You choose goals. And you pursue them relentlessly. But here comes the uncomfortable truth. Focus requires sacrifice. To say yes to one thing, you must say no to many others. And this is where most people falter. They want the results of focus without the pain of sacrifice. They want wealth without cutting expenses. They want health without giving up unhealthy habits. They want wisdom without giving up foolish entertainment. But it does not work that way. focus will cost you, but the price of focus is far cheaper than the price of regret. Let me give you a picture. Imagine a magnifying glass in the sun. The rays of light scatter across the ground, warm but harmless. But when you focus those rays through the lens, they create fire. That is the difference between an unfocused life and a focused one. Scattered energy warms, but never transforms. Focused energy ignites and creates change. So, where should you focus? On what truly matters. On what aligns with your values. On what honors God. On what builds your future. On what allows you to live free. Focus is not about narrowing your life into boredom. It is about concentrating your energy into power. But even with focus and discipline, there is one more enemy to confront: excuses. Excuses are the polished lies we tell to protect our comfort. They sound logical, even noble. I'm too busy. I don't have the money. I'll start when things calm down. Excuses soothe the conscience while destroying the future. And the longer you entertain them, the more convincing they become. But let me help you with this truth. There will never be a perfect time. Life will always be busy. Money will always feel tight. Circumstances will always be less than ideal. If you wait for perfection, you will wait forever. The people who build wealth, wisdom, and freedom are not those who wait for conditions to align. They are those who act in the storm. Excuses are addictive because they remove responsibility. They let you blame circumstances instead of confronting yourself. But responsibility is the birthplace of power. The moment you own your situation, the moment you admit, "This is my choice, and I can change it," you regain control. Excuses are also dangerous because they disguise themselves as care. I'm waiting until I'm more prepared. I don't want to fail. But these are not reasons. They are fears dressed as wisdom. True wisdom acts in faith. True wisdom recognizes that failure is not final. It is feedback. Every wealthy, wise person you admire failed repeatedly. But instead of using failure as an excuse to quit, they used it as fuel to grow. So here is the challenge. What excuses are you making? Identify them. Expose them. Replace them with truth. And act anyway. And this brings us to something even deeper: courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is action in spite of fear. It is what allows you to make the decision to stay disciplined, to focus, to resist excuses. Without courage, everything else collapses. Courage is required to invest when others doubt. Courage is required to speak truth when others stay silent. Courage is required to step into calling when others remain comfortable. Courage is the dividing line between the wealthy and the poor, the wise and the foolish, the free and the enslaved. And here's the paradox. Courage grows only when exercised. You cannot wait to feel courageous. You must act first. And when you act, courage increases. It is a muscle built through use. Courage is the secret ingredient behind every story of transformation. If you study the lives of those who broke cycles of poverty, who built lasting wealth, who influenced generations, you'll always find moments of courage. Not just once, but again and again. Courage to begin. Courage to persist. Courage to stand when others fall. Think about the first time someone decides to step out of the familiar. Perhaps it's leaving a secure but stagnant job to pursue a vision. Perhaps it's speaking truth in an environment filled with lies. Perhaps it's breaking away from generational patterns of poor financial choices to build something new. None of these steps are easy. Each one demands courage, and that courage often feels lonely because it sets you apart. But here's what most don't realize. Courage attracts. When you act with courage, you inspire others. You become a light to those still stuck in fear. And eventually, courage multiplies, spreading through your family, your community, your children. What begins as a trembling step becomes a legacy of boldness. Yet courage does not appear randomly. It grows from faith. Faith in God's promises. Faith in your purpose. Faith that your actions today matter for eternity. Without faith, courage collapses into recklessness. With faith, courage becomes unstoppable. This is why courage must be paired with wisdom. Courage alone can lead to foolish risks, but courage with wisdom creates transformation. Wisdom comes from aligning with God's truth, from learning, from seeking counsel, from practicing discernment. When courage and wisdom walk together, success follows. But even with courage, wisdom, focus, and discipline, there is still a challenge that destroys many lives. Comfort. Comfort is seductive. It whispers, "You've done enough. Rest here. Don't push further." And while rest is healthy, comfort becomes dangerous when it replaces growth. Comfort convinces people to settle for less than they were created for. It convinces them to stop climbing, to stop stretching, to stop pursuing. Let me help you see this. Comfort zones are prisons. They feel safe, but they limit your life. Inside the comfort zone, you do not grow. Inside the comfort zone, you cannot build wealth, expand influence, or deepen wisdom. Everything worthwhile lies outside the comfort zone. The wealthy understand this. They push past comfort to take risks. They endure discomfort to learn skills. They embrace sacrifice to create freedom. While others stay safe, they grow. And the irony is that those who chase comfort live the most uncomfortable lives in the long run. Lives filled with regret, scarcity, and restlessness. The comfort you cling to today may be the regret you carry tomorrow. So how do you break free from comfort? By embracing challenge. Challenge is the training ground of greatness. Just as muscles grow through resistance, your character, faith, and wealth grow through challenge. Avoiding challenge weakens you. Embracing challenge strengthens you. This is why trials in life are not punishments. They are opportunities. They refine you. They force you to confront weaknesses. They reveal what you truly value. And when you endure them, you emerge stronger, wiser, more resilient. Let me help you understand something that may shift your perspective. The life you want is on the other side of challenge. The wealthy life, the wise life, the free life. It does not come to those who hide from struggle. It comes to those who step into it, trusting that God's strength is enough. Now, here is another principle few grasp. Relationships shape destiny. You can have discipline, courage, focus, and values, but if you surround yourself with the wrong people, you will be pulled down. Relationships are like elevators. They either lift you or lower you. Look at your circle. Do they challenge you to grow, or do they comfort you in mediocrity? Do they speak truth, or do they feed lies? Do they push you toward wisdom, or do they distract you into foolishness? The people you spend time with are shaping your mindset, your decisions, your future. Wealthy and wise people are intentional about their relationships. They seek mentors who stretch them. They build circles that align with their values. They choose friends who sharpen them, and they distance themselves from voices that pull them into fear, excuses, and waste. This may sound harsh, but let me help you with clarity. You cannot carry everyone with you. Not everyone will understand your path. Not everyone will support your growth. And if you cling to those who refuse to grow, you may be dragged back into the very cycles you are trying to escape. That doesn't mean you abandon love. It means you set boundaries. You can still love people without letting them limit your destiny. You can still care without compromising your calling. And sometimes, the greatest act of love is becoming who you were created to be, because in doing so, you light the way for others. But here's a warning. Relationships that are out of alignment with your values will eventually erode your peace and sabotage your wealth. Guard your circle. Now, let's talk about something practical. Stewardship. Stewardship is the wise management of everything God has entrusted to you. Your money, your time, your energy, your gifts. Many want more, but fail to manage what they already have. They pray for abundance while wasting resources. They ask for wealth while mismanaging income. They desire influence while neglecting responsibility. But God does not reward waste. He multiplies stewardship. Those who are faithful with little are trusted with much. Those who are careless with little are stripped of even that. Let me help you see this principle. Your current life is a test. How you handle your income now determines what opportunities open next. How you treat your time now shapes what doors appear later. How you manage your relationships now reveals what influence you will be trusted with tomorrow. Stewardship is not glamorous, but it is the foundation of lasting wealth. Budgeting, saving, investing, giving, planning. These daily practices create stability and growth. The wealthy know this. They don't just earn, they manage. They don't just spend, they multiply. But stewardship goes beyond money. It's about managing your mind. What are you feeding it? What are you learning? What are you ignoring? It's about managing your body. Are you strengthening it, caring for it, or neglecting it? It's about managing your spirit. Are you nurturing it with faith, prayer, and wisdom, or starving it with distraction? Everything you've been given is both a blessing and a responsibility, and the way you manage it determines what comes next. Stewardship also reveals something deeper about character: gratitude. When you manage well, you declare, "I am thankful for what I have." Gratitude is not just saying thank you, it is showing thank you. It is living in such a way that what you've been given grows, multiplies, and serves a purpose greater than yourself. Those who lack gratitude waste. They squander opportunities, they misuse resources, and they live with entitlement rather than appreciation. But those who practice gratitude through stewardship experience abundance. Why? Because when you prove you can handle blessing, blessing increases. Now, let's address another barrier many face: comparison. Comparison is poison. It robs joy, distorts vision, and creates bitterness. In the age of social media, comparison has become a daily trap. People scroll through highlight reels of others' lives and conclude their own is lacking. They see wealth displayed, but don't see the discipline behind it. They see success shown off, but don't see the sacrifices that built it. Let me help you with this truth. You cannot compare your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. Your journey is unique. Your calling is different. Your timeline is not theirs. When you compare, you insult your own process. You shift focus from growth to envy, from purpose to distraction. The wealthy and wise do not waste energy comparing. They learn from others. They may be inspired by others, but they do not measure themselves against others. They measure against their own values, their own goals, their own progress. That is the only fair comparison: yourself today versus yourself yesterday. Comparison also blinds you to gratitude. You cannot be thankful for what you have when you are obsessed with what others display. Gratitude and comparison cannot coexist. One multiplies abundance, the other multiplies scarcity. This brings us to a critical mindset: abundance versus scarcity. Scarcity says there's not enough. If someone else wins, I lose. If someone else succeeds, it means there's less for me. Scarcity breeds jealousy, competition, and fear. It creates people who hoard, who manipulate, who live with anxiety. Abundance says, there is more than enough. Their success does not threaten mine. Their wealth does not limit my opportunity. God's provision is limitless. Abundance breeds generosity, collaboration, and peace. It creates people who give freely, who encourage others, who live without fear of lack. The wealthy live with an abundance mindset. That's why they invest instead of hoard. That's why they collaborate instead of compete destructively. That's why they give generously. They know giving does not decrease wealth, it multiplies it. But abundance does not happen automatically. It is a choice. It is a mindset. It is developed through gratitude, faith, and perspective. And here is the irony. Many of the wealthiest people began with little, yet chose abundance. Many of the poorest cling to scarcity, even when they have enough. Wealth is not just about bank accounts. It is about mindset. Now, let's turn to an area many ignore: legacy. Wealth without legacy is shallow. Wisdom without legacy is wasted. A wealthy life is not just about what you accumulate, but about what you leave behind. Legacy is the echo of your life after you are gone. It is the impact that outlives you. Legacy is not built at the end of life. It is built daily. Every decision you make, every value you live, every investment of time and money contributes to legacy. Your children, your family, your community, they are watching. They are learning. They will inherit not just your resources, but your habits, your mindset, your faith. What legacy are you building? Will your children inherit debt and dysfunction, or wisdom and wealth? Will they inherit fear and excuses, or courage and faith? Will they inherit scarcity or abundance? Legacy is not about perfection. It is about direction. Even if you have made mistakes, you can choose today to build a different path. Your life can become the turning point for generations. What you decide now can break cycles of poverty, fear, and waste, and establish cycles of wisdom, wealth, and freedom. Legacy also reminds us that life is bigger than ourselves. Wealth is not just for comfort, it is for contribution. Wisdom is not just for self-preservation, it is for teaching. Freedom is not just for personal enjoyment, it is for serving. When you build with legacy in mind, you build with eternity in mind. But legacy requires intentionality. Too many people drift through life, leaving legacy to chance. They assume it will somehow happen. But legacies are not accidental. They are crafted. They are shaped by daily choices, daily disciplines, daily values. And here is where urgency must strike you. Your legacy is being written right now, today, in how you spend your time, in how you manage your money, in how you treat people, in how you live your values. Every day adds a page to the story others will tell about you. So I ask you, what story are you writing? Now, another principle connects directly to legacy: vision. Vision is the picture of the future that guides your present. Without vision, people wander. Without vision, discipline fades. Without vision, wealth becomes meaningless. Vision gives purpose to sacrifice. It gives direction to decision. It gives meaning to pain. Vision is not just about goals. It is about calling. It is seeing beyond the immediate into what could be, what should be, what must be. Vision is the compass that aligns every choice. Without it, even wealth becomes empty because you have no reason for it. The wise cultivate vision. They write it down. They remind themselves of it daily. They align their actions to it. They use it to evaluate decisions. Does this choice move me closer to vision or farther from it? Vision becomes the filter for focus. And vision creates resilience. When challenges come, and they will, vision keeps you from quitting. When fear whispers, vision speaks louder. When distractions arise, vision refocuses. Vision is what turns pain into purpose. But vision must be bigger than yourself. If your vision ends with your comfort, it is too small. True vision includes others. It lifts, it serves, it transforms. That is the kind of vision that sustains. And here is the beautiful truth. God has given every person a vision, calling, a unique contribution. Some ignore it, some bury it, some fear it, but it is there, waiting to be embraced. The tragedy is that many die with vision still inside them, dreams unpursued, potential unrealized, wealth unused, influence unshared. Not because they lacked talent, but because they lacked faith, courage, discipline, and focus. But you do not have to be one of them. The saddest words ever spoken are not "I failed," but "I never tried." Failure at least teaches. Failure at least moves you. Failure at least gives you stories, wisdom, scars that become strength. But never trying leaves nothing, just regret. Regret is the most expensive cost of all, and it cannot be refunded. This is why urgency matters. People often think urgency means panic or rushing blindly. But true urgency is awareness. It's the deep understanding that time is limited, opportunities are fleeting, and decisions matter. It's knowing that waiting is not neutral, it is costly. Every day spent in hesitation is a day of potential lost forever. Urgency is not about speed, it's about priority. It's about recognizing that what matters most must be done now, not later. It's about refusing to let distractions steal destiny. It's about waking up each day with purpose, refusing to sleepwalk through life. And urgency brings clarity. When you realize time is precious, you stop wasting it on what doesn't matter. You stop arguing over trivialities. You stop scrolling through emptiness. You stop chasing every passing pleasure. You focus on what builds, what lasts, what aligns with your calling. Now, let me help you with a perspective shift. Everything in your life has a cost. Discipline has a cost. Courage has a cost. Focus has a cost. But so does fear. So does distraction. So does comfort. The question is not whether you will pay a price. It is which price you will choose. Pay the price of discipline now, or pay the price of regret later. Pay the price of courage now, or pay the price of mediocrity later. Pay the price of focus now, or pay the price of wasted years later. Every path costs. The wise choose the price that builds freedom instead of the one that destroys it. Here is another truth. Wealth, wisdom, and freedom are not destinations. They are processes. They are not one-time achievements. They are lifestyles. You don't become wealthy by a single act. You become wealthy by consistent alignment. You don't become wise by one decision. You become wise by daily learning. You don't become free by one breakthrough. You remain free by living daily in truth. This is why small choices matter. The decision to wake up on time. The choice to read instead of waste hours. the habit of budgeting consistently, the practice of prayer, the act of generosity. None of these seem dramatic in isolation, but strung together, they create transformation. Consider how water shapes stone, not by one great splash, but by constant dripping, day after day. So it is with discipline and values. They carve your life into strength over time. And here's the secret most miss. The process is the reward. Yes, wealth is a result. Yes, wisdom is a result. Yes, freedom is a result. But the daily journey of becoming the kind of person who embodies these things, that is where fulfillment lives. Because wealth without growth feels empty. Freedom without wisdom feels chaotic. But when the process itself transforms you, the results become sustainable. So let's piece this together. Fear must be confronted. Time must be valued. Lies must be broken. Wealth must be redefined. Alignment must be pursued. Decisions must be made. Values must be lived. Discipline must be practiced. Focus must be protected. Excuses must be destroyed. Courage must be exercised. Comfort must be abandoned. Relationships must be chosen wisely. Stewardship must be honored. Gratitude must be shown. Comparison must be rejected. Abundance must be embraced. Legacy must be built. Vision must be lived. Urgency must be practiced. These are not random principles. They are the foundation of a life that honors God and creates true wealth, wealth of soul, wealth of relationships, wealth of resources, wealth of impact. Now, let me give you a picture of two futures. In one, a person listens to these truths, nods, feels inspired, and then goes back to the same life. Nothing changes. Days pass, years pass, and regret grows. They wonder why their dreams never became reality, why their finances never stabilized, why their faith always felt weak. They had the chance, but they did not act. In the other future, a person listens, and instead of just nodding, they act. They make one decision differently today. They confront one fear. They reclaim one wasted hour. They break one lie. They practice one discipline. They protect one focus. They shift one relationship. And that one step creates momentum. And momentum grows. And over time, their life transforms. Wealth grows. Wisdom deepens. Freedom expands. And when they look back, they realize that everything changed because of one choice to begin. Which future will be yours? And here is something powerful. You don't have to wait for the perfect opportunity. You don't need a sign written in the sky. You don't need approval from others. You need only this moment, this choice, this step. Every great journey begins not with certainty, but with courage. Every legacy begins not with perfection, but with a decision. Every life of freedom begins not with wealth in the bank, but with wisdom in the heart. So, let me help you one last time by saying this clearly. Everything you need is already within your reach. God has given you time. He has given you values. He has given you the ability to choose. He has given you the chance to discipline, to focus, to act. You are not lacking. You are not disqualified. You are not too late. The question is simple. Will you use what you have, or will you bury it? Will you act in courage, or hide in fear? Will you live with urgency, or waste in delay? Will you build a legacy, or let time slip silently away? The life of wisdom, wealth, and freedom is not hidden. It is not reserved for a chosen few. It is built daily by those who choose truth over lies, action over excuses, faith over fear. And that life can be yours. And so, we arrive at the final truth. You have heard the principles. You have seen the patterns. You have been reminded of what truly matters. But wisdom without action changes nothing. Wealth without purpose leaves you empty. Time without urgency slips away unnoticed. The decision is now in your hands. Fear will try to hold you. Comfort will try to soothe you. Excuses will try to delay you. But you are stronger than all of them, because the same God who gave you life has also given you power, courage, and clarity. Your life is not an accident. Your calling is not small. Your future is not hopeless. Every second from this moment forward can be used to build freedom, to create wealth with wisdom, and to leave behind a legacy of faith and abundance. So step forward. Choose courage. Choose discipline. Choose truth. Choose to live fully aligned with the destiny placed within you. The path is waiting. The time is now. And the future, your future, is ready to be written.